Anyone please confirm it?
Yes, it's visible. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you so much. Today what we are going to do, let me open the notepad. Today we are going to learn something about Excel related automation here. So first of all, why we need to know about Excel related automation. So if you are working for any of the project, so we'll get the data in the format of different ways, right? The data means source data. So if you are working for any of the project, if you want to enter the data in any of the web-based application, or if you want to send the data to any of the applications, or if you want to send the data through the mail or something, so you should get some kind of source data, right? So this source data may be in the different ways. So sometimes you get the data in the form of mails. Sometimes you may get the data in the form of Excels. Sometimes you may get the data in the form of CSV or some kind of PDF or JPG, whatever it may be. But most probably will play the data using Excels, because once you are done with the automation also, like once you are done with the entire process, if you are getting the data source as an email, then end of the day we have to get some kind of report, right? So how many mails we have read, how many mails are unread, so how many mails we could not able to fetch the data. So end of the day we should get some kind of report for each and every automation. We have to go with any of the report, right? So for these kind of things, for each project we are interacting with the Excel, and we are interacting with the data of Excel data, right? So that's the reason. So this concept is very useful when you are working with any real-time project. So you should know the basics. So how to do the automation using Excel. So what kind of activities, what kind of functions we can perform on the Excel, we should know before starting the automation. So let me quickly open Studio. Let me create a new project. Let me create new project. I'm creating just based on the Excel automation test. Whenever you want to start a project in Excel, so first of all, what are the prerequisites you have to see? So first, in the project dependencies, you have to check is that particular Excel activities are available or not. So you can see this is the project dependencies. I have it. I have created the project in Windows. And when you see the dependencies, I have Excel activities, mail activities, system activities, testing activities, and UI automation activities, right? So if you don't have Excel activities, what will happen? Let me remove the dependency. So I removed the Excel dependency from Studio. So you can see the activities. Let me navigate to the activities and let me search for the Excel activities. So what's happening? We are not getting much activities, whichever the Excel activities we have it, right? So this is related to the Microsoft 365 online activities. We are getting it. So let me reinstall the activities. So if you don't have Excel package, how to install the Excel package? We have to go to the manage packages. Then we have to go to the all packages. Then Excel. Here you will get Excel activities. So let me download it and show you what will happen when you install the Excel activities in your studio. So we got an Excel activities. Let me package. So let me navigate to the activities and let me search for the Excel C. So we got multiple activities here to do the automation. This is the first prerequisites we need to check. So do we have the Excel activities package in project dependencies or not? If not, then we have to do it. If we are having that package, then check is that updated package or not. So this is the latest package I have it. So I have downloaded the latest project. So this prerequisites you need to check it from the studio, and you need to check it from the Excel in your machine. So is that Excel is available or not? So I have in my machine, I have Excel. So I can do the automation. If there is no Excel in your machine, how you can do that? So for this, we have two things we need to discuss about it. In UiPath Excel activities itself, we have time. Let me go to the code. If you want to read any of the Excel file, we have rearrange activities. When you compare here, so we have Excel activities and we have workbook activities, right? So you can see same rearrange activity and the rearrange activity. So what's the use of rearrange activities? We are why we need to go with the two rearrange. This rearrange will do the same and this rearrange will do the same, but this rearrange is from workbook and this particular rearrange is from the Excel. So why we need to go with these two means Excel when you are as I said, we have two things. One is Excel activities and one is workbook activities. We'll use it to play with the Excel data only. But if Microsoft Excel is installed in your machine, then only you have to go with the Excel activities. If Excel is not installed in your machine, then we have to go with the workbook activities, because if you are going to use the Excel activities as a rearrange, what it will do, it will open that particular Excel file. So if it is opening that Excel file means the Excel should be installed in your machine. So workbook, so everything will be done by the backend. So only if the file is available, that's fine. If there is no Excel is installed in your machine, it won't care about it. By the backend, it will read the data. And if any macros. So basically we will get couple of macros enabled in the Excel, right? So if you have any macros, if you want to uh, click on that particular macros, or if you want to generate that macros, then you have to, of course, you have to go with the Excel activities only, because macros will reflect only when you have opened the Excel file. So if you have any macros installed in the Excel file, you can't use the workbook. So workbook is very fast compared to the Excel, but it won't open the Excel file. So it will do everything it will done by the backend itself. So that's the difference between this Excel and workbook. So when you see the right range also here, you can see right range in Excel, right range in workbook, right? So this is something classic folder. So classic means as of now we are using the modern folder. This is the latest modern activities we are using it now. So classic means whichever the previous activities we have it, we can use that particular activities also. So as of now everyone is clear, right? Why Excel activities and why workbook activities. If Excel is installed in your machine, then go with Excel activities. If you don't have Excel related Microsoft stuff in your machine, then you can't open the Excel file, right? Then you have to go with the workbook activities. Workbook activities are a bit fast compared to the Excel, but everything will be done in the background. You can't see how the automation is going on in the workbook. So this is about Excel related prerequisites in your machine. So one is for is that Excel is installed in your machine or not, and one more thing is that packages are available or not in UiPath. So. So next we'll start with some kind of activities, whichever the activities are available in UiPath, and how we can perform that actions to the UiPath. Let me go to the Excel. activities. Let me type rearrange. So rearrange means what we are going to do. So we are going to read the data from one of the Excel. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one of the project. In this project, just I'm going to create one of the folder. Create the direct Excel file. I'm creating one of the Excel file. So here I'm going to read some data. So just I'm giving the names and location. I'm giving it. So just I'm giving some data here. One is names and one is location column. So here you can able to observe. So these are the data I have provided ABC, XYZ and ASD as a names. And the location is something I mentioned it as a Chennai, Pune, Hyderabad. So what we are going to do, we are going to read this data using our UiPath. So let me save this file and let me close it. So I have saved this project inside our project folder. So let me open the UiPath Studio and let me refresh it. When you refresh it, it should get your Excel file. This file should be reflected there. It's no worries if it is not reflecting. Also, let me start reading. So before reading that, what we have to do, we have to go with the Excel activities. So for that, I am going to check Excel application scope. Ex- Ex- Excel process scope, I am using it. Inside that, I have to use the Excel file. So every time when you are going to use the data, so every time when you are going to use the data, when you are wants to read the data from the Excel, before going to work on that, you have to do two things. One is we have to go with the Excel process scope. Inside that, we need to go with the use Excel file. So using these two activities, we can perform the different kinds of actions in Excel. So we are good with the two activities. So here you can able to observe it's asking for the file path, which we are going to do it. So I am going to read the file which we have mentioned it here. So I pass the file name also here. So then what we are going to do? So as of now, we are using the file. So we are using that particular Excel file to read to do some kind of operations. Our next step is we should get the data. So whichever the data we have it in the Excel file. So let me open the Excel file again and show you. So whichever the data we have it in the Excel file, we have to read that data, right? So we have names and location. We have to get the data. So for that, what I am going to do? So as a human, what we'll do the read of that particular Excel, right? So as per the robot also, we need to search for the read range activity. So I am going to use read range activity here. So the range, what's the range you are going to give it? I'm going to give the Excel. So I'm going to give the sheet one. So I'm going to read the entire sheet. Then I'm going to save the data, DT, output, Excel. So DT means data table. So whichever the data will get it from the Excel file. So we are storing the data in the form of a data table type of variable. So that's the reason I mentioned as a prefix as a DT. Then the variable name is output of Excel. So let me save it. So okay, I got the data. So then how we will get to know? So whichever the data we are reading it, how you will get to know? Just I'm going to use one message box to print what's the data we got it. So before getting the data, just I want to know how many rows of data we got it. So what I'm going to do, dt output dot the rows count. So I'm going to print the rows count, how many rows are present inside the read range. Let me run it. See, so whenever you run that code, what happened here? So it opened the Excel file because we are working with the uh, Excel activities. So here I got a value as a 3. So okay, I got 3 values inside that particular Excel. So let me close that. The execution is done. But I want to know, so what's the values inside it? So how we can print that? So for this, what we have to do, we can't print the data table values. If you want to print the data table values, you have to convert this data table into the string and you have to print it. Or we have to go with the for each activity to get each row of data from the Excel. So we have these two mechanisms to get the data from the data table. So the first thing is to see the data, just we need to convert the data table data to the string format of data. Then we can see it. Or we have to loop iterate each row of the data table and we have to print it. So these two mechanisms we are going to see now. So first thing is we'll convert a data table to a string format. Just I'm going to mention it here. Data table. Data table to string format. So for that we have one of the activity that is called as a output data table. So if you don't know what's the output data table will do, just we have to go with the help button. So for each and every activity, we'll get help. So just navigate to the help and it see what it will do. So it's a kind of data table activities. Writes a data table to a string using the CSV format. What it's doing, it's converting the data to data table to string format, and it's compatible for Windows Legacy, Windows, and cross-platform. So as of now, we are working with the Windows, so it's capable of doing it. So what's the input? What's the output? Just this is entirely related to the particular activity, and here you can see you have the output. You have the some kind of example also to implement it. So you can see that. So here you can download the example also. So whenever you are stuck with any of the activity, you have to go with the help and you have to see how to perform that activity and what's the input and what's the output. And if you want to see the example of that particular activity, you can see it from forum. You can see it from the docs.uipath.com itself. So let me go back to the UiPath Studio. So here I am. What I am going to do. So we have input and we have output. So I'm going to give the input, whichever the input we got it from the data table, whichever the output we got it from the read range activity. So that's I'm using as an input. And for the output, just I'm going to create str output Excel. So here for the read range, I created the DT output Excel because it's giving the data in the format of data table. And when you come to the data table, I am giving it is as a str output Excel because here what we are going to do, we are going to convert the data to data table to the string format, right? So we are getting the output in the format of string. So that's the reason I am giving the variable type as a string for the variable prefix. So that's how it you should. That's how you should follow the best practices. So now what I'm going to do? Just I'm going to use message box again. I'm going to print whichever the str output Excel file we have it. So let me run. What is running now? We'll see what will happen. First, we got the rows, how many rows are present in the Excel. And then we got a value. See, so we got names, location, and these are the values are inside that particular Excel. So we can able to read the data. This is the first mechanism to read the data. So the first mechanism is converting the data table into the string format, and we can able to see the data. Next one is iteration. Iteration means using for each data table activity. What we are going to do? Just we are going to read each row. Let me navigate to the code. So instead of this thing, let me use for each. So here, what we are going to do, we are going to loop for each row in data table. We have the data table value, right? So that value is dt, Excel, output Excel, then each current row. Then what we are going to do here, right? Current row dot item. So what I'm going to give, I'm going to print only the names. Just I'm going to keep one breakpoint here. Whenever the execution will come here, it will stop the execution. So let me rerun it again. What will it do? So we have three rows. Okay, we have executed the same earlier. So these are all the data. We converted data table to string format. So the execution was stopped here. So let me step into. So what it's printing? It's printing the ABC. Why it's printing the ABC? So we are reading the names. In that names, the first one is ABC. In the iteration process, the first one will come as a ABC. If you click on OK, then again the execution is here. So let me do the step into. We got the value of XYZ. See, and let me do the continue. We got the value of ASD. Then if you do the continue, the execution is stopped because we have only three values which is having the heading of names. So we can able to read these three. So instead of names, so here when you see, instead of names, if you want to read the value from the location, then what you have to do? So just you have to copy the location header and you have to keep it here. And let me run it and show you what. it will print. Got rows 3, and we got the data table to string format of data. And let me run it. So earlier we got the names, now we are getting the location. See? Pune and Hyderabad. So we can see the values of it, right? So this is how we can read the data. So we can convert the data table to the string format, and we can read it, and we can convert uh, iterative way, and we can read the data. So here I have one more question. We have in the Excel, we have names and we have location, right? So I want to give something else, the phone number. So this data is not available in the Excel, but I want to read it. See, we'll see what will happen. See what's happening? We got an error saying column phone number does not belongs to a table sheet one. So means what robot is wants to say to us in the sheet one, when you are trying to use the sheet one, we don't have column is saying phone number. So that's the reason what could not able to proceed. So you got when you are getting an error, don't close that error as soon as you get it. Just read it and understand why we are getting that error. So as per this message, we can able to read that. We can able to identify, right? This is a message box. In the message box, column. This is a column. Phone number does not belongs to a table sheet one. So just navigate to the this one. We are when you see this, we can able to observe there is no phone number. That's the reason we are getting an error. So what we have to do, if we want to keep the phone number inside the Excel file, just use whichever the phone number name we have used it, and go to the Excel and give it here phone number to enter some random values. So let me save the Excel file and let me rerun it. So you can able to see that number of count. When you see the entire data table, you can able to see, right, the first row, second row, and third row. So then see, this is the first phone number, and this is the second phone number, and why we are getting the third phone number as a empty. So let me open the Excel file. As we see, we have 3 rows, right, in the Excel. Okay, Excel is open here. Yeah. So when as you see, you can able to see we have 3 rows: ABC, XYZ, and AST. So it can able to print the phone number for ABC, and it can able to print the phone number for XYZ. And when you see that ASD, the value is empty. So that's the reason we are getting the value as empty in the message box, right? So let me click on OK. So that's how this particular rearrange activity will work. Check with the other activities also now. So one of the other activities is right range activity. So what I am going to do. So I am going to use right range. Let me use the right range. think dependencies is loading.
I have a question. What if I want name and location both to come in the message box? So we
Sorry,
need,
which one?
if I want name and location to be present in the message box, like you got
Name and
each
okay.
iteration, you got the name, right? Like that,
Okay.
I want on each iteration name and location. In that case, how will you do
Okay, you want to get both at once in the message
that?
box,
Yes.
right? We'll print it, yeah. So once
Okay.
this activity is loading, then we'll do that.
Okay.
Pradeep, you selected Office 365 read range. I think.
Yeah, that's the reason it's giving that package as a dependable. So let it depend on activities. So now as per the query, so what we are going to do, so instead of showing, let me delete this activity. So instead of showing only the phone number in the message box, so what we are going to do, we are going to showcase two values. So one is yeah, one is I'm going to print both the name and the phone number. So for that, what we are going to do. So here itself, whichever the way we are going to read the phone number, so just copy and paste and paste it in the same message box and mention it. Here you want to read the name, right? The name and give some empty space between the both values. See, let me run the code. So we got three, and this is a entire box. And when you see here, the name does not belongs to the table. So let me check the name, how it is. Yeah, I mentioned it as a name, but I reading it as a name. So that's the reason we got an error. Let me stop it and let me make names here. See, I got a name as ABC and I give these special characters to divide these two words. So ABC and phone number and XYZ and phone number. And the last one, we have ASD as a name, but we don't have any phone number, so it's giving the empty value. So that's the way we can print multiple values using iterative way. So now, as we are going to learn about the right range, I'm going to use right range activity. Yeah. So when you are going to use the right range activity, what we have to pass, we have a couple of things to pass. One is in which worksheet you are going to pass it, and what's the sheet name you are going to use, and what's the data table you are going to pass it for that right range. Got it right? Which file we need to use, and which sheet you want to write the data, and which data you want to write the data. So for this, let me use the same file and the sheet name, I'll make it as a uh, new data. The sheet name is new data, and I'm going to print the same data. So whichever the data we got it from the Excel. So we are reading the same using the same data. So let me run it. So we'll see what will happen. So these message boxes we have created earlier. Let me click on just OK on it. See, so what's happening here? We got one of the error saying that the Excel is already working. So the Excel is already open. So let me close this Excel and let me do the retry of it. So it's working, it's done. So let me open the file, whichever the file we have done. See, this sheet one we have created earlier, and this new data we have done just now. When you see the new data, what happened here? So whichever the data we have read it from the sheet one, we can able to import the data here, but there is no headers. We can able to see the data, but there is no headers here. Why we could not able to get the headers? Let me navigate to the activity and see the properties. When you see the properties, okay, sheet name we have given and the starting cell as usual, we are giving it from the A1. By default, it will go with the A1 and input data table and which Excel file we are going to use. And when you see here, add headers. So let me enable this add headers and let me rerun it. We'll see what will happen. The execution is done. The timestamp you can see 9:45 means it got created at 9:45. This is the sheet we have created earlier. This is the sheet just now we have created. Now with for this particular sheet, we got the headers also because we have enabled that option saying we need the headers also. Because of that particular check-in, we got that headers. So that's the way we can read the data from the Excel and we can write the data from the Excel. And I want to explain one more thing. So if you want to if you want to give the data, if you want to import the data as each row, which how we are getting the data here using iteration. If you want to get the data in that way, let me use right range, right cell activity. So using right cell, so let me drag and drop the right cell. So what this right cell is going to do? So this right cell, what to write? So I'm going to write these things. So this entire part I'm going to write it here. Okay. And where to write you Excel and I'm going to indicate it in the Excel itself where I need to write it. Take few minutes to load the Excel. Okay, I want to write it here from the eighth cell. I want to write it for the data we are getting it. Just I'm going to no, I'm what I'll do. I want to write it from here. I'll do confirm. So then this is an auto increment. Auto increment means we have multiple cells of data, right? We have three rows of data. That three rows should go one by one. So that's the reason I am going to use auto increment row and let me run. I'll make, I don't want to use the read thing, right? And so let me We rerun it. We'll see what will happen. So we got 3 rows, and this is the data we have. The combination of a name and phone number. What we are going to do, we are going to write. So we'll see in the Excel what happened. See, we got as per the one row, we got the value here. So keep it here in the same way, and let me start for the second row. This is the second row value we have, and this is the right range we are going to write it because it's doing the auto increment row. Auto increment row means it will do the increment to the row. So let me. See, it's done. So this is the first cell, this is the second cell, this is the combination of third cell. So we got each cell wise, right? So this is how we can do the iteration, and we can add the data here. So here what we have mentioned it. So if you want to add the data in somewhere else in other cell, other sheet, just mention it as something
Pradeep,
some.
I have
Yes,
one
please.
question. How to add header to that column?
Sorry, which one?
How to add header to that column? Newly
Uh,
created.
Yes, we have for that we have different ways we can add it. We have add headers data table. So using that we can do that. Add headers. So it's not available here. Then what you can do, we can use a build data table. Whichever the build data table we have it, we can build it. Or what we can do, we can use one more right cell. We can use one more right cell here. This is a simple way to do it. Let me pay. Sorry. So here you can mention as a D1. So don't do the auto increment. And here mention something you can mention here, name and phone number. So we are going to do the both. Let me run it and let me show you. Sorry, I removed the sheet name here. I have to give the sheet name. Yeah, let me close this. Let me rerun. See, we got the value here, name and phone number.
Okay, Pradeep. Thank
So when you open the Excel file, let me open the Excel file once. So whichever the data we got it, we can able to see here. So we got a header also. So and when you go to the activities panel, we have one more activity that is called as a build data table. So build data table is used to, if you want to build, if you don't have an Excel file, so if you want to build the data table, you can build the data from here. So this is the same way how we can do. So here I want to mention the column name. So the column name is uh, I'll mention something like age, and this one is I am going to use mark something I am going to use. So the data, what I'm going to do here. So the age is 2045. Is 60, 47. I'll make it. Click on the OK. So I want to add one more row also. So it age is 32, marks is something part of 43. So I'm going to add one more row. Age is 32. Again, the marks is something around 545. Then let me click OK. So this is the data table we have created using UiPath. I'm going to create one of the variable for it. DT using build data table. So what we are doing, we have control K, T, build. So what we are doing here, so we have created some data in UiPath, right? So whichever the data we have created in UiPath, I want to print this data in a Excel file. So I want to see this data here. So if you want to see this data here, how you are going to see? So the same way what we have done it, you can use right range activity. So let me use the right range. Then give that Excel file. And the sheet is I'm going to use new data. The data table is we are going to pass DT build because the data of build data table is output of build data table is DT build. So I am going to use the same, and the column, which column we are going to use. So I want to print the data from E. When you click on here, you can be able to see the cell number where you are where you want to post the data. So I want to post the data in E1. So let me post it in the E1. And I need headers also for it. So let me check on the add headers and let me run it and show you. So what will happen? So whichever the data we have created in the build data table, that data should be Excel file. Started executing. To debug. We can because we got an error because we are using an Excel. Let me close that Excel and let me do the retry. Okay, I am done with the retry. Let me open. See, is it working or not? So, sorry. Yeah. So whenever whichever the columns we have mentioned it in the build data table. So this build data table is not from any of the Excel we have created inside the studio. We can able to use that data and we can post that data in here. So this is the one thing. So and if you want to convert the data from array, so if you have any array, so if you want to convert that data and if you want to print it, that also we can do. So let me show you that. So I am going to use one of the assign activity. So here what I am going to do. So I have one array. The array name is called as a ARR pass. So then for that array, I'm going to give some values. Just random values I am giving. Fail, uh, pass, and pass. So this is the array. So let me check the variable type. Is it array or not? So array of t. Then I'm going to pass it as a string. So that's okay. Then I want to pass these values to the data table. So then how can I do that? So you can use for each row, you can use for each. Then in the for each, we'll get each item. So the each item are going to make it in the right cell using right cell. This is right cell. What to write? I just write it current.text. You can write it there. And the way to write it. So just I'm going to print Excel, indicate Excel. I want to yeah. That's why I'm giving S. So auto increment S. So I'm going to print one more. Pass or fail as a header in the G1. So for this auto increment is not required because it's an header. So let me run the code. So we got the values pass, fail, pass in from array. So here you can see array. So what we are doing, we are converting array to the data table. Because let me check that. Let me stop the execution. Let me rerun. So because it's using by some other process, let me retry. The right cell setting current sheet automation test virtual message object has disconnected from the client. So let me ignore. We got the same issue here. Current product auto increment. It's because we have to use these particular right cell activities inside the Excel scope. So let me check it. Is it inside the Excel scope or not? Yes, it's inside only. Let me delete right range workflow. See, we got the values of it. See, when you see you have pass or fail, pass, fail, fail. So we got the values also from the array. So this is the way we can do the automation in different ways. When you use the activities, just type it as Excel. So you can see couple of activities here. Just do the practice of it so that you will get some idea about it. Autofill, get cell color. So whenever you want to get the color of that particular cell, which cell you want to read it, and the color will be saved in the different code format. So you'll get that particular code. So update sheet, read cell formula. If some formula is inside the cell, you will get it. So these many activities we have it. Just go through the each activity. If you could not able to do that, then drag and drop, then right click on it, go to the help. So it will directly navigate to the docs.uipath.com. There you can able to see that information regarding that particular activity. So this is how we can do that. So any doubts as of now for the Excel, or we can wind up the session for today? I can take it as a no. So yes, I can. We can wind up the session for today. Thanks everyone. Thanks for
Yeah, sure.
joining the
Thanks.
session.
Thanks for your time,
Thank
brother.
you.
Thank you.